AM.
Welcome back to Observer AM. It is 7:18 in Antigua and Barbuda. As we commemorate International Women's Week, tomorrow is actually International Women's Day, there is an initiative aimed at addressing gender-based violence in Antigua and Barbuda through significant efforts to combat dominant stereotypical attitudes and beliefs, misinformation, a lack of available information, gender inequality, abuse of power, and harmful societal norms. All of these help to perpetuate gender-based violence. And this initiative is being led by Integrated Health Outreach. That's a local non-governmental organization that promotes and facilitates community, ecological, and social emotional well-being. The initiative is aimed at ending one of the world's most widespread human rights violations, gender-based violence. We're very pleased and honored to have in the studio with us Brenda Lee Brown, and she is the project coordinator of this initiative. Good morning, Brenda Lee. It's great to have you in studio here with us.
Good morning, Jackie. It's great to be back, and good morning, listeners and viewers across the globe. Can I quickly say a very happy birthday to Sir Vivian Isaac Richards? Yes, our superhero.
That's
Wish
right.
him God's blessings on this day.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Tell us a little about this project, Brenda Lee, that you're involved with.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. The IHO, Integrated Health Outreach Project, deals with, it's a non-for-profit organization dedicated to empowering marginalized groups and advance health and economic platforms so that persons in these groups have a better quality of life. So part of what IHO is doing is they're looking at this global epidemic, which is gender-based violence. And although we see these wonderful headlines about woman loses life or woman chopped up or woman, what we don't tend to do here is go beyond the headlines and find out actually she's not the only one. She's just the one that's reported.
Right.
So gender-based violence is one of our focuses because especially during COVID, the lockdown, there was an increase. And we need persons to understand that gender-based violence is not just domestic violence. We tend to stereotype who is a victim.
That's right.
We look at class, we look at economic, we look at education, and we kind of lump everyone together in this like a subgroup. But gender-based violence affects everyone, no matter class, gender, sexuality, age. We are all affected directly or indirectly by gender-based violence. So we as an organization have got funding to host a coalition building initiative because governments, social groups, governments can't always deal with social issues. They don't have the funding, or they lack the political will, or a combination of all. So we need community groups, NGOs, faith-based groups to come together to tackle this epidemic.
Tell us about your role as the project coordinator for this project.
Well, Dr. Nicola Bird, who is head of IHO, came to me and asked me to help coordinate a set of workshops, a series of workshops, and be the voice and the face to get persons involved, as well as how to outline the workshops and give it a kind of a flow. So my job is really behind the scenes. I'm the one that kind of puts it all together, and then the wonderful facilitators that we have, who are the team, they present. I do some presenting, but the majority presenting is done by the team, which is made up of Reverend Karen Germain, Shamara Gage, and Sharon Nando. And they are the ones who are like in the forefront doing the workshops.
Now, you stated that this project is being implemented by IHO, Integrated Health Outreach, and we have been introduced to IHO before because they're involved in other empowerment projects. Give us a little background. What is IHO and what do they do in the community?
Okay. This organization has been going since 2013. And Dr. Nicola Bird is like the maestro behind this.
Right.
And they, like I said, they focus on working with marginalized groups. So they cover everything from biodiversity, economic, environmental projects to farming. There's the female coconut farmers project.
Yes.
To work
Coconut Queens.
Coconut Queens.
We had them on here.
They're the ones. And then you have the other end, which is working with young people around issues such as gender-based violence. Mm-hmm. So it's a non-profit. So, Dr. Bird and her team, they go out and get funding to get projects like this done. Mm-hmm. So the ones that we've been doing have been funded. We've had the 2 projects I'm working on with IHO is the what we call the COIN project,
yes,
Small Grants Project, which was for young people, and the UN Women MCO Caribbean Regional Small Initiative Coalition Building Initiative, which is what I'm doing right now. So the COIN project was aimed at teaching young people about what is gender-based violence, how to identify, because we think that gender-based violence is on domestic violence. They don't recognize economic
empowerment,
lack of empowerment. so they don't know that when you're being abused, there's economic abuse, there's emotional abuse, mental abuse, isolation, manipulation. There's the physical sometimes comes right at the end or never comes. It's just a threat of violence. So there's variations to what is gender-based violence. Mm-hmm. So we had to work with young people for them to understand how this works and how they, even if they're not directly affected, can be an ally and understanding their role in getting help for a friend or a family member. And that was the first one that we did. Now we're looking at coalition building, which is working with faith-based groups, community groups, sports clubs, to form a group who will be advocates for this marginalized group, be they male, be they female, whatever their gender identification is.
Yeah, I think we often, I think unfortunately, we often think of victims being female. And you have put it out there that that's not necessarily the case at all. The stats isn't showing that you do have men who are abused as well, who are victims as well. I know that this is a subject that you are extremely passionate about, but why the emphasis on gender-based violence? Why did IHO select this particular theme to run with?
Because we have lots of groups, individuals who are doing fabulous work on the ground. Mm-hmm. But we don't have a safe space. There is no official shelter for victims. We don't have enough counselors. We don't have safe spaces for young people to go and talk about what's affecting them. Mm-hmm. So by a safe space, I don't just mean the poor school counselor or guidance officer who has 300 children to deal with, plus staff members, plus. They can't do it by themselves. So we need spaces where young people can go and know that it is secure, that what they're saying will not be, no one will call their granny or their mother or their cousin and tell them what they heard, that young men need, because violence people are not born violent, they're not born aggressive, they become because of socialization, what they see, what they learn, how they're processed.
Nurture over nature. Mm-hmm.
And men, sadly, especially here in Antigua and Barbuda and probably the Caribbean, do not have a safe space to vent emotionally.
Right.
So we tell our boys, what are you crying for? You're weak, you're this, you're that. All negatives. And this is coming from women to men. This is not just men to men. So when a man is in a situation where he needs to say something, or he's scared, or he's whatever, sadly, some of the default is physical, right? But if we had spaces that these men could go and learn how to work with their emotion, if they had safe space where the women in these situations could learn to protect themselves. And if they were guaranteed safety, because the trouble is, gender affairs has like a 72-hour window where they can help these persons. After 72 hours, the majority have to go back to the very same place where they were facing this abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have to talk about it beyond the poor her. If it was me, I wouldn't let him do this, or I wouldn't let her do that. It is a situation where it's not just the physical. It is, someone that controls your money. At first, it sounds like he really cares about me, helping me save my money.
Mm.
But then it becomes you have to ask permission to buy personal items.
Mm.
It becomes the relationship where that dress looks really good on you, to you don't look so good in them short dresses. I prefer the long dress.
Mm.
He loves me. Dresses get longer and longer. Then one day you lose your brain and put on a dress that you really like, and it becomes a issue. Mm-hmm. Those are the things. Or they scroll through your, male or female, they scroll through your phone without your permission, mm-hmm. and start to tell you the friends that they don't think you should be associating with. Mm-hmm. That's all abuse. So that's why we have to talk about it, because we're not having the full conversation about gender-based violence.
Okay. Now, what has taken place in Antigua and Barbuda since this project? I know that you started it, 3 months ago? 4 months ago?
Yeah, we started working towards it 4 months ago, mm-hmm. and we had our first series of workshops with young people.
Right.
We did that in January. We did three sessions, one with males, one with females, and the combined session, young people aged 12 to 21. And they came together to find out what is GBV, looked at stereotyping. That was the thing that came up while we were working with them, that they were saying things or expecting certain behavior because they didn't recognize the stereotypes.
Right. So what are the future projects that you are going to be involved in, or seminars that women can look forward to, women and men?
Well, yes, because that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. We need more men to come jump up and be allies, not necessarily leaders, but we need men, because we can't break this cycle if men are not part of the chain, mm-hmm. right? And young boys. We need the young men, we need them, so they understand that this is our problem and not a female or just a male problem.
Yeah.
But we're doing the coalition building workshops right now. They run for another 4 weeks. It's a 7-week program where we've got these groups of, like I said, faith-based community groups and youth group have come together, and we're giving them tools and training how to work as a coalition so that they can become the advocates and the voices for persons in the GBV situation, because they'll stand in the gap.
Right.
Because as a group, they'll have more power than a single person. IHO has other projects coming on stream, and you'll get to know those as they come on stream.
Yes. We have to take a quick break. No, we're not taking a break. All right, we'll continue our discussion. One of the things that I have noticed in the community, our law enforcement officers, for instance, they need to be trained, need to be sensitized as to how to deal with gender-based violence. I've heard of situations where a woman goes to report that, there's abuse and she wants to get out of the situation. And officers are saying to her, just go kiss and make up, or, recommending, that they go back and go to a counselor, or inserting themselves and suggesting ways for them to keep the unit together, rather than taking it seriously. And a lot of the officers are quite insensitive people. Huh? They make comments, they laugh about it. It's done in a very flippant manner, and gender-based violence is not seen as a serious matter for intervention by officers who are trained in how to deal with these matters. So I'm wondering if IHO is doing any sort of sensitization with law enforcement.
Not at this moment, but I know that there is, under gender affairs, there is a unit that was trained under gender affairs within the police force. Mm-hmm. who were trained to deal with basically sexually based violent offences and some GBV. However, it is great that we have a unit, but I think the training should begin at the training school, and that's a bigger project than IHO.
You mean at the police training academy?
I mean that's a bigger issue than IHO. That is a societal issue, and you need to. That's why you have coalition, because the coalition is going to be one saying, look, these are the gaps. You need to make sure that future police officers, all male and female, get sensitivity training. Yeah. You then need to have, again, the safe space. When you go to report GBV or sexual crime, you should not have to stand at a public counter to report it. There should be a space that you can go to.
Confidential space.
Safe space that you can, the person can go in. Now, also, then when you go to investigate, that should be, again, handled. But that should be across the board. Because I don't think we're big enough to have just a unit, because our police force is not infinite, it's finite. So it means that if you have 20 officers trained, you know you're going to lose 15 because they're going to be moved around. So everyone needs to receive this kind of training. We also need that kind of training within the school systems, teachers, even medical, across the board. We need this training, even in the media. Now, I'm a media. You and I met in the media 40,000 years ago.
Too many years.
Too many years to mention. Okay, and the media, sometimes we are guilty of perpetuating the myths and the stereotypes. And we, like I said, we produce those sexy, grand headlines. Woman chop up, and then it's like, well, nothing's heard again. Yeah. There's no follow up about what caused this. What's the investigation into the background? Right. Why did it escalate to this? Were there other? There's a lady that was killed, I think, last year, a couple of years ago, who had a restraining order against the gentleman, and he still ended up killing her. Yeah. That is an indictment on our whole society. That not only did the system fail, but we as a community failed, because who was watching out for her? Yeah. Who saw him around? Did people? As no makeup. No. We as a society, we need to understand as a society that this thing is not normal.
Yes, and I think in that case as well, the son of the woman was also attacked, was also assaulted. I think last week we reported that he pleaded guilty in the courts.
But but he pleaded guilty in the courts. But what counts? What is he going to be counseling? Is he going to receive so he doesn't do it again? Because he may come out in 10, 58, whatever years he got. And what are you doing while they're in there to change their thinking and understanding, so when they come out, they don't re-offend, because they will. They will. Yeah.
Now, what is the end goal? What are you hoping to achieve at the end of all of these workshops, at the end of the coalition building? What do you want to achieve?
What we want to achieve is that the coalition is a sustainable initiative. So we don't, we're not looking to 7 weeks of training and then they disappear. We're looking to build a sustainable group, be it 5, 10, 15 members, whose goal is to help eliminate GBV, to have full discussion of what it is that we are dealing with, and to get male, females to understand that this is not normal, that we all buy into the stereotypes of what a person should be or shouldn't be, and that is stopping us from seeing that human beings are human beings, whether they are, male to male, female to female, male to female, female to male. It is all wrong when it comes to GBV, because these are the persons committing GBV. It's not just men on women. Yeah. And it's to get that conversation not just started, but now to advocate for better. For better.
Okay. Tell us a little about your sponsors, your funding. I know UN Women is involved.
With the coalition building.
Yes. Talk to us about some of your partnerships.
Well, the other one that I can only speak about these two projects because this is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
But for the one with the young people, because my Spanish is not good, I can only give you abbreviation. They're called COIN. They're based in Dominican Republic and they're funded by American. And they are work with young people to help them to understand what is GBV and to support young people who may be part of, live in that situation. So that's COIN. They funded the workshops for young people.
Can I try the Spanish?
Yes, you can.
Centro de Orientación y Investigación Integral.
Bless you.
How is my Spanish?
Far better than my Cockney.
That's COIN.
Yeah, my Cockney London variation breakdown. It'd have been too embarrassing. So I always say COIN, and they give small grants, and they really are into working with young people, because if we can work with the young people,
Yeah.
and re-educate them and give them tools so they have some kind of level of understanding. And the young people that we worked with, at the end of the sessions, when they did the stereotype session, we got the girls to write about what makes a woman, what makes a man, and then the guys to write what makes a woman, and then they had to swap and see each other's versions of themselves, and they're just like, huh? I said, yeah, that's how you see each other. So if you don't actually discuss it, when guys say something or you say something that is actually quite hurtful, this is where it comes from. So it's getting young people to understand that stereotypes can be changed, can be relanguaged.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So you are currently, I want listeners to be able to get in contact with you, because this workshop is going to be going on. These training workshops will be going on for quite a while. How can they get involved? How can the community get involved? How can they reach you if they're interested in being a part of this?
Well, we have a wonderful social media platform, the IHO_AB on Instagram, for those
IHO_AB
or lowercase, or you can call me on 726-5468.
Okay, great. And future events, future projects that IHO might be involved in, because IHO seems to be popping up everywhere. They're doing a lot of empowerment work in Antigua.
Yes, thanks to Dr. Nicola Bird and her fabulous team. They are really, they've got the biodiversity project they're doing right now as well. So someone will come on and talk about that separately, because what IHO does is they bring on individuals to work on specific projects.
Right.
So not one person's working on just 22 projects. Teams are brought in specifically to deal with biodiversity, to deal with economic empowerment, to deal with so that's how. So there'll be more coming. I'm sure Dr. Bird is busily hammering away right now, because funding, you can't do this work without funding, and she's and her team are very good at finding the correct funding. So thanks to COIN and UN Women MCO Caribbean, we have these initiatives going on right now.
Will we be able to get any additional statistics about gender-based violence at the end of this project? Because that's one of the shortcomings of any sort of program. You don't have empirical evidence to support or to suggest you should do this or you should do that, or what is the status of gender-based violence in Antigua and Barbuda. Are you doing any kind of data gathering?
We have we've had to do some as part of the funding reports, and that is an obstacle. That is an issue, because in Antigua we're not very good at data management or even writing stuff down. But I think partly because a lot of these cases are not reported.
Yeah.
We know of. We all have stories. We go to church, we hear the stories in church. We go to school, we go to work. But a lot of cases are not actually reported to the police or end up going all the way to court.
Yeah.
So the last report I saw, there's something like 264 cases reported in a year.
Oh.
And that was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So, let's times that by 4 or 5, because it really and truly, for every one that's reported, there's probably 3, 4, 5 that are not reported.
That's right.
But that was the one that was done about 10 years ago. But that's the thing, that the agencies, because gender affairs, they're doing their stuff. It's the agencies and the government who's supposed to really be putting these figures in front of us. So we've got social transformation, we've got gender affairs, we've got the police. We need to be able to go to them and say, can you give us the figures for 2023? Can you give us the figures for 2010?
Okay. Any final words you want to leave with us as we wrap up the discussion? The time seems to have run down so quickly. It's 7:43. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you for inviting us on here, and please get in touch with IHO to if you want to volunteer or be involved in the coalition building project. And it's going to take a village. It literally is going to take a village to change how we see GBV.
Thank you very much. That's Brenda Lee Brown. She's the project coordinator for this gender-based violence initiative, and we wish Integrated Health Outreach and all the partners every success. We're going to head straight to the second morning edition of the